What's up everyone? I wanted to do a little off the charts video about OpSec and why it's super important to everyone and not just certain people. I was having this conversation in my Discord about 2FA and what certain companies implement into their websites or companies or whatever implement to keep their clients secure. And it really got me thinking that a lot of people don't understand what OpSec is or how to protect themselves online. So if you guys really like this video, I could do a series, but for now I'm just going to cover the basics of how to keep yourself secure online. Let's get straight into it. Per usual, I have a little Microsoft Paint visual for you. There are two main ways that your information goes out on the internet. There is the for sure way of companies that sell your data, and there's always the possibility of hackers that share more data. These two things have one thing in common, and that is they sell your data. Companies make a ton of profit off of selling your information, and so do hackers. Breach forums, or what breach forums was actually taken down. Places like breach forums where hackers sell databases. That's it. That's literally, they just sell databases. They make money off of it. It's pretty simple. Once they dump a database or get into a database, that's however the hackers want to do it. They just sell that database on a forum, and companies like data brokers will buy that data. Same thing with companies. Now, I'm 100% sure most people are aware of what a data broker is, and if you're not, let me refresh your mind. Data brokers are places like White Pages. This is White Pages, and there's plenty of other websites just like this. This is a place where you can look up phone numbers, reverse addresses, people searches, everything just about it. And the way hackers get you is they cross-reference data. So if they have something that is confirmed yours, such as your full phone number, your full address or whatever, they can cross-reference that data along with other data on White Pages and other data brokers to, of course, find a lot of information about you. This is how a lot of direct hacks work, a lot of phishing attacks, a lot of doxing happens. This is where doxing happens. Along with the fact that there's also the possibility that you can Google dork for certain, documents that are on the internet that you didn't even know were on the internet. Google dorking is not specifically meant for this. It's usually for, finding companies' data or anything other than specific people's data, but it's definitely still possible because I've done it before. If you've followed me or been with any of my channels or anything like that for a while, you know that I used to remove people's data online as a service, and I still could, but there's no point. I'm focused on other things now. Along with the fact that there's huge companies out there that do the same thing that are cheaper or that do it monthly, and it's way better. But all of this data is public and anyone can access it just knowing a little bit of information about you, which with social media being around these days is pretty easy to do. I'm gonna give everyone here some homework real quick, and this is for your own good. Go on major data brokers and remove your information if it's there, of course. In most states, countries, I'm not exactly sure of the laws, don't quote me on it, but they can usually only sell your data if you're over 18. But if you lie about your age on the internet, then sucks for you, you're now 18. If you tell a company that you're 18 and you're not, that's your own issue. And if you are actually over 18, then this is something you do need to worry about constantly if you are a target to someone. In California, I know they are legally required to remove your data if you ask them, which most websites do have a little form where you can request to remove your data. But like I said, I'm not totally 100% informed on the laws, so go check it out for whatever state or country that you're in. With that being said, I also want to make it known that this data can always pop back up. If you remove it once, you're going to have to take it down within, another 2 or 3 months. That's because they're always selling your data. Like there's not a moment where companies aren't selling your data. If an app or product is free, then more than likely you are the product. You are being sold. And one of the main reasons your data is being passed around like this is because of targeted advertising. If you've ever seen this or anything like it, I'm not sure if Android actually has it, but this is tracking. This is what tracks you across apps, across different social media sites and stuff like that. This is the same exact thing with cookies on websites. As you can see here, it says your data will be used to measure advertising efficiency. I don't know about you guys, but I would rather have companies not track me and share my data just because I want targeted ads. There was actually a lawsuit over this controversial move by Apple. This was a few years ago whenever iOS 14 came out. We're currently in, what, 15.5, I'm pretty sure. But what happened is Facebook was basically saying that Apple is hindering how much revenue they can get because of this feature. This is, of course, because Facebook is known for advertising, targeted advertising of all kinds. As you can see, it says the privacy feature claiming that it could reduce advertising revenue and hurt small businesses. They say hurt small businesses, but they really mean hurt their revenue. I'm actually really happy that Apple implemented this feature, and I want to see Apple continue to do this, other than the fact that they were probably just caught putting a 0-day or a backdoor in iPhones for the NSA or the FBI, I'm pretty sure. Either way, the point is all companies sell your data. Let's talk about how you can prevent it. Keeping companies from selling your data really isn't too difficult, just as long as you stay consistent with it. There are multiple ways you can avoid companies from getting your data, and they're pretty simple, just as long as you stay consistent, like I said. First, let's talk about temp mail and why it's useful. As you can see, you just look up temp mail, and there's plenty of temporary email sites. I use Gorilla Mail or just normal temp mail. This will generate a temporary email address that you can use for things that is one-time use. Say you need to verify to get into some bullshit that you're never going to use again, but you still need to verify. Use temp mail instead of your real email or any real information, because that real information is just going to get sold and put into a database. Temp mail is really useful for honestly a lot of things, and I highly recommend it. Except, please be aware, some websites do not allow certain temp mails, so if it doesn't work, if it says your email is invalid, just try a different provider. If it really just doesn't work, you're probably working with some kind of social media platform. Just end up using a backup email or a throwaway email like I'm fixing to talk about. A throwaway email is something that I use and a lot of other people like to use. A throwaway email is just like your normal email, such as at gmail.com, some trusted domain name. Except it's not your real email. It's used for throwaway shit that you don't actually need. It's dedicated to that and that only. And if you really wanted to, you could build up your own persona that's completely faked, and eventually you will see, if you look it up after a few months, that that person is somewhere out there, a completely fake person. If you use the same consistent name, consistent email, and consistent date of birth, you'll probably put that fake person on the internet, and you'll see just how easy it is for them to do it to you. Like I said, just use a throwaway email for anything that you don't really need to keep but needs a trusted domain name. Now, let's get into phone numbers, because having a Google Voice number is super easy and it's free. Like, why would you not up your security for free? Google Voice is a free number provider for literally anyone who has a Gmail, and you don't even need a Gmail for it. You can just use any email that you'd like. But the point is it's a fake number. It's not your real number, so you'll get less spam calls if you use something like this. But for personal use, keep your real phone number to personal use and don't use it on any websites or anything that you don't need to use it on. Again, I should warn you, same thing with emails. Sometimes voice over IP emails won't really, or voice over IP numbers won't really work the same as real numbers, because you can, of course, verify whether it's a real or fake number. As you can see here is an example number. It calls back to Atlanta, Georgia, using a bandwidth.com voice over IP number. Also, SpyDialer is another database broker that you can use to take off your phone number or any other information. And it's actually really cool because you can get phone details or hear the email. The SpyDialer will actually call the phone number, hear the email or voicemail, and then send it back to you so you can hear it on this website. Very simple, very easy. I actually really like this website. But with that being said, voice over IP numbers are absolutely necessary to keep your phone number from spam texts, spam calls, anything like that. Along with, of course, keeping your data off the internet. I don't know why I haven't said this earlier. I keep saying it, but I don't actually mention it. All of this will prevent a lot of spam. One of the people that are actually looking out for your information are scammers, people who spam call, all kinds of stuff like that. Every scam call is checking if your phone number is valid, and if you answer or if you text back to anyone, they'll mark you down as an active phone number and you'll get even more spam calls. I know this because I built a proof of concept Python bot to do the same exact thing and it worked beautifully. If your phone number's out there, you're definitely eventually going to get spam calls, spam emails, everything like that. But you can definitely reduce how many you get using this method. So like we were talking about earlier, let's talk about cookies or targeted ads. If you don't know what a cookie looks like, this is it right here. It's in the headers of just about every request you send. This small piece of data is used to track you across websites, track user sessions, everything like that. Here you can see in the cookie settings object, we have analytics true and advertising true, so that means I accepted the cookies. All of these are just normal specific identifiers for the website, and this just looks like a session ID. With that being said, please, for the love of God, just use browser security and don't accept certain cookies or targeted ads of any type. This is less of just getting your information out there, it's more to help companies from tracking you. So say you have 10 tabs open and Google Analytics is sending data back to Google about all of those 10 different websites, which, trust me, they are in the plentiful of requests that I have been looking through while reverse engineering the TradingView API, and all of the history that I have with working with requests, Burp Suite, and everything like that. Yeah, there's a lot of information sent between you and Google servers. So that brings me into my next topic, which is built-in browser security. Best thing you could ever use. Such as, for example, I use Brave. Brave has this little implementation right here. It's called Shields, and it prevents a lot of tracking, but it has built-in ad blockers, so on YouTube I don't get any ads, on Crunchyroll or fucking anything, I don't get any ads. It's amazing. Of course, again, I should warn you, some websites won't work properly with ad blockers enabled. Some will request you to take them off, some will not care. It really just depends on whatever website. Firefox is not my main browser, though it is one of the browsers that I use for security, so if I'm looking up something that I don't want to be tracked on, nothing like you're probably thinking, such as if I'm logging into my school website or anything like that, personal, I use this because I may get tracked a little bit, but there's a lot less tracking than usual. Most browsers will have a built-in security and privacy tab that you can just go to standard, strict, custom. You can do anything you want with this and it'll help a lot of security. Here you can see there's a option for send a do not track signal that you don't want to be tracked, and I have that on always, of course. Ooh, and while I'm here, let's talk about login and passwords. Do not save your login information on your browser. It's dumb. It's stupid. If you get some malware on your computer by accident, it's going to pull all of that. It's going to get all of that and send it back to its command and control center. As you can see here, I have 0 saved logins just because it's dumb and you shouldn't do it. Yes, it may be 100 times easier just to save it on here, but please use some secure way to store your passwords. Along with forms and autofill, that's ridiculous too. Don't save your address, don't save any personal information on your browser because that'll get pulled with the malware just as much as your passwords will. Along with your history, yeah, they'll be seeing how much porn you watch. And some history also gets sent to Google Analytics for targeted ads again. The point is, just go to your privacy and security tab on whatever browser you use, most of them have it, and just click all the things that you don't want certain websites doing, and just be very cautious on how websites use your data. And of course, something that is pretty obvious, don't use your real name. Of course, when it comes to legal things, yes, use your real information, you kind of have to. But it's just crazy that we live in a world, it's such a weird world that we live in that we can just sell other people's information. I don't see how people don't find this really, really scary. In my personal opinion, this is some real dystopia type shit. Let's go over all of this one more time, just as a quick overview so we can see what we learned. So how your data gets on the internet is through hackers and companies. Hackers and companies sell their data or sell your data to data brokers and other people so that data gets moved around on the internet. These data brokers buy this information because they offer subscriptions on their websites, so that's how they get paid to be able to pay for the data. And then once it's on those data brokers, all of these random people, scammers, hackers, doxers, whatever you want to call them, have access to your information just with your first and last name or your phone number or your address, whatever. You need to be using temp mail for one-time things that you're never going to see again. You need to have a throwaway email that has a trusted domain name. You need to have a Google Voice number that works. You shouldn't be accepting any cookies or targeted ads from apps, websites, anything like that. You should be using browser security to, up your security while you're not paying attention, along with the fact of not saving any information in your browser. Because remember, one piece of malware will have all of that data out there. And of course, on websites that you won't really need, or even on websites that you use on the daily, don't use your real name, don't use your real address, don't use your real date of birth, whatever. And please, don't put your real first and last name in your username. That's like asking to be targeted. With all of that being said, this is my first time really talking about this kind of thing on YouTube and editing all of it, so I hope the video is not super shitty. I hope it turns out really good, and I hope you really learned a thing or two from this, because this can really help you in your future avoiding scammers, doxers, anything of that sort. And this is all easy, free, and simple stuff you can do that just improve your security on the daily. And I feel like I've said OpSec multiple times without explaining what it actually means. OpSec stands for Operational Security, and it really just means personal security for you, your team, your whatever. With all that being said, check out my socials, the link in my bio. If this video gets enough support, I may do a part 2 on this, talking more ways to improve your security and not have your data stolen. We currently live in a dystopia where nobody talks about how people sell and buy our data. If you agree with me, hit the subscribe button, and thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video whenever it comes out.